Thank you all for coming. At about 10:30 this morning, there was a vehicle crash where one vehicle rear-ended a second vehicle. The at-fault driver then fled. The crash was witnessed by an off-duty reserve officer with the Tampa Police Department. That officer followed the vehicle and wound up at this location here behind me on 23rd at Darren. There was a brief verbal altercation that became a physical altercation as the officer confronted the driver. During that time, the officer drew his firearm, and as the altercation continued and they continued to wrestle around, the officer inadvertently discharged his firearm into his shoulder. So he's being treated at a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and the suspect fled after that, is currently being detained while the investigation continues. There is not at this time any threat to the community or the neighborhood, and that's basically what we've got. So if there's any specific questions.
Any charges with that suspect right now, or is that's still in the process?
So again, there's a lot to work through. The incident went over several different places, and there's several different avenues to investigate, and so we haven't fully ironed those out. I'm sure that'll be made available to you later on.
What was the initial rear ending?
So it was at 6th near 301 in the city of Zephyrhills.
Was the car? Can you tell us if the car was going north on 301 or?
I do not know that at this time.
Yeah, we're not sure the direction of travel of the two vehicles.
Did the off-duty officer, did he identify himself as an officer? Do we know yet?
So we're still working on that. Obviously, due to the injury and just the amount of time that it's been, we're not fully through all of those details. We're working through that. Certainly, the most important thing is the care of that officer, and we can go ahead and get the full story once we are fully satisfied that his health has been taken care of. Again, the injuries are certainly not believed to be life-threatening, but we're definitely working slowly through that aspect of the investigation to ensure that his health is taken care of first and foremost.
It sounds like this is something that could have ended up a lot worse than it was. Would yourself or someone from Zephyrhills like to comment on the fact that this was an off-duty officer, saw something going wrong and stepped in?
Certainly. You know, there's a time and a place when you put on the badge, whether you're wearing it at that moment or not. The adage is that, once you're sworn in, you're always on duty. And so certainly applaud this gentleman for not only his civic mindedness, but his attention to duty. And definitely are relieved that it did not end worse. And certainly hearts go out to his family and loved ones and friends because it is still an unfortunate incident that didn't have to go this way.
Can you talk about the struggle, the physical struggle, and was that suspect trying to get to that gun? Do you know?
So again, that's all part of the investigation. The early indications don't necessarily lead us to that in that direction, but again, all of those details really need to be fleshed out, and you have to keep in mind that the two primary people that have the information are the suspect and the officer, and we certainly respect the officer's health, and we're not at a point where we can get a full and complete statement from him just yet.
What can you tell us about the suspect that was apprehended? Was it a without incident? Was there a foot chase?
So there was, again, he fled, so we did what we do. We brought out a couple of canine handlers. We've had basically since 10:45 or so this morning a continuous perimeter up until the time that he was apprehended, which was about 35 minutes ago. So there was he fled. As far as a chase goes, there wasn't a moment where we're, hey, you stop, and there wasn't that drama, but he certainly had an interest in not being located. We appreciate the citizens of the Zephyrhills area, and they're always willing to call in and provide assistance as far as what they've seen. And obviously everybody knows that we can't do our job without the support of the public, and it's just really invaluable that when we go and we set up an operation like this, the good God-fearing citizens of the area are almost exclusively very, very cooperative. We appreciate it tremendously.
Can you expand on that? Was he in someone's yard, or was he in a wooded area, or can you
I can expand generally. I mean, if you look around, pretty much everything's owned by somebody, so that's that's yes, everything's owned by somebody. So he's somewhere, and somebody noticed.
So where was he actually picked up and located?
So again, we're still working through that aspect of the investigation. I mean, it wasn't terribly. I mean, it was inside the perimeter that we set, but as far as the exact location, I mean, we've still got a little bit of work to do.
You heard there was a school involved possibly. Were there any?
I've heard that too. I'm not sure where that came from, but I've definitely heard that. And thank you for bringing it up. There's no threat to any schools. Today's actually the last day of school. I'm not sure how many of them are even having a significant amount of students. But during the entire course of the incident, there was really no safety concerns related to a school. I'm not sure where that came from. But thank you.
Can you talk distance from the accident? How far he followed the suspect, and then why did they stop here?
Part of the investigation. We don't
Yeah,
know
so I don't know the exact distance. You know, Google Maps will be able to tell you that wherever 6th and 301 is to here. As far as why he stopped, absolutely agree with Captain Roberts there. That's part of the investigation. Anything that I tell you at this point would be speculation, and knowing my luck, it'd all be wrong. So I'll just hold.
How would you classify that initial accident? Was it minor, or is it the person that was rear-ended okay?
Yeah, so again, the traffic crash is going to be Zephyrhills investigation. The understanding is that the crash relatively minor. You know, why exactly the suspect fled, that's part of the investigation. We'll have to get into that. We're hoping that we can get an honest answer at some point, but again, at this point, there's a lot of investigative work to do, a lot of latent work to do, and I really just would rather not speculate. You guys are.
Can we have Captain Roberts come up and say something about our working together today?
Reginald Roberts, REGINALD, Roberts, ROBERTS, Senior Captain, Zephyrhills Police Department. Again, you know, just as Captain Tate said, this was a joint mission this morning to try to find the truth and what happened here. We don't have many answers right now because the investigation is ongoing, and we had an opportunity to work together with the Pasco County Sheriff's Office. Our K-9s came out, our patrol units, and the idea behind the whole thing is that we work together to get an answer here, and the answer is what happened, what actually happened. So there's not many answers right now, but we'll slowly get to them and we'll let you know.
This might be a question for Captain Sanborn, but Captain, can you tell us where is Sheriff Knockel right now, and would we normally be hearing about something like this from him?
So Sheriff Knockel had some previous commitments, essentially, and I'm assuming
I came from Sheriff Knockel.
yeah, he's basically what's happening is that he previously scheduled some fairly in-depth meetings with a wide range of the agency, and so he's basically having staff discussions. It's several times a year Sheriff Knockel sits down with the troops, and he likes to hear directly from them. He likes to communicate directly to them. Today just happened to be that day. You know, a lot of us were there this morning. I'll be headed back there this afternoon. It was, you know, but to answer your question, you know, I guess I'll answer it with a question. You know, you've met the sheriff. Come on now. Of course, yeah, no, but no, today he's spending time with his people, and I respect the heck out of that. So.
Was it a tip that led you guys to this? I think you sort of alluded to this. Was it some community tips that led you to his location?
We definitely had some assistance from some good folks in the community, and again, we're always forever grateful. You know, what makes us successful as law enforcement is the cooperation that we get from the citizens, and I cannot stress that enough. We bring a lot of resources out here. What those resources do is give us a chance to be successful, and what help from the community does is basically give us a guarantee that we are going to be successful.
I think it is kind of intriguing that he was on someone's property because somebody owns so much property. Was he in a structure, or can you? So
again, there's no. It's ultimately it's all part of the investigation, but to answer an unspoken question, did he force his way in somewhere or anything like that? No. When you're that far into something, just the general condition of the individual when we finally made contact with him, hot, tired, sweaty, ready to be done. So, I mean, just not. There were no issues. There's no fights. There's no altercations. Just he was very, very tired. It'd been a long afternoon.
Was there body cams in use at the time of his apprehension?
That I don't know. For sure, I mean, per policy, I'd imagine that they would be, but that'll be something that we'd have to
Any more information, any
download.
more records we can send out today, we'll do that, but that'll be up to the investigation.
Will we get a suspect name today? Do you have any kind of idea if he's got a background?
So I can't guarantee that we'll get a suspect name today. That's really going to be more of the investigative side. If you'd like to speak to that, you can. But basically, again, as everybody said, there's just a lot of work left to do. We're very happy that the officer's safety is being addressed. We're very happy that the community was actively engaged. We're very happy that any sort of threat to the community has been negated. And at this point, there's really no reason to rush through anything else because those immediate action items have been taken care of. So, you know, in the words of an old friend, we basically got the rest of our lives to finish this investigation. So there's really no way to rush, you know, no reason to rush that. So, again, I'm not trying to be cagey, but there's no reason to rush it. So we're going to do the best investigation we can because it's the right thing to do.
And which hospital is the off-duty officer at?
Right. So he's at a local hospital. I mean, we have no desire or intention to bring that kind of attention to his location at this point. Like I said, his safety and his health is of paramount concern. So.
I do have a question about, he was a Tampa police officer in Zephyrhills. The chase ended here in the county.
Mm-hmm.
How does that work with an off-duty officer? I mean, are they allowed to go after somebody as long as they see there's a crime, or how does that usually work?
So,
even if it's not his jurisdiction?
So generally speaking, there are jurisdictional issues, but those jurisdictional issues are often trumped by the fact that when you get right down to it, was this officer doing anything that a normal citizen may or may not be allowed to do? Are you allowed to witness an event or a crime or something like that? Are you allowed to try and develop information, help the police? We certainly appreciate that this officer is more trained, and we don't normally ask regular people in the public to do that for us. But as far as jurisdictional issues go, that would only come into play if he was doing something that was clearly required police authority as opposed to something that any citizen could do. And again, we're very, very far away from that in the investigation, but there's nothing on the surface that makes it seem like this gentleman was doing anything that a normal law-abiding citizen couldn't do. He just has more training, more expertise, more skill and things of that nature. So again, it's basically a non-issue at this point in the investigation.
Is there any concern that the gun that was used in the incident was the officer's gun? Do we have any idea of how the suspect got a hold of it?
So again, I don't want you to misinterpret the situation, right? There's no indication that the suspect necessarily got a hold of the gun. What occurred is during the struggle, the gun was discharged. So, so again, to answer your question, no, because that's not what the preliminary investigation leads us to believe.
Was there anything in the suspect's car that you may, and this may be part of the investigation, that would have led him to run?
So again, this is an investigation, and I would go. It's an ongoing investigation, but there's no reason not to be painfully honest. Looking behind me, I don't think we've opened the doors of that car yet because again, we have absolutely the rest of our lives to do as quality of an investigation as we possibly can. So there are legal procedures that have to be followed. There are investigative procedures that have to be followed. We are in no rush to get this investigation completed today or tomorrow or anything like that. What we are in the business of is doing the absolute best quality investigation that we can. So, anything else I can do for you?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're off the hook. Thanks so much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.